Hey friends, it was Eric the Mind Control guy. I just got off work a little bit ago, so I'm kind of beat dog tired. Today's my Friday when I'm going home. Anyway, I made a video the other day and my camera messed up, so I had to delete that and start over. But anyway, what I was wanting to talk about real quick before I go home was hear people bitching about, and I've heard people bitching about for years, about the voter ID thing. And they want to whip out the crybaby race card when it comes to voter ID. Why should I have to show ID to prove who I am? Well, for one thing, there's countless cases of identity theft. I heard at one time when Al Gore and George Bush were running for the presidency, 21 years ago, back in 2000. Heard the story one time. Up in Wisconsin, if you were voting for Al Gore, you were allowed to vote 5 and 6 times. Heard the story once, didn't hear it again. People out there have 4 or 5 ID cards out there, a bunch of different names, going on for a long time. Hell, I had an ID when I was in school. I know I had one when I was in high school. I can't remember if I had one in junior high or not. Hell, it's been 40 years ago. But people bitching and whining about why should I have to show my ID to vote. I had to show my ID to buy root killer last week. Getting that time of year again, roots are getting into the pipes, had to buy the root killer. They're asking me for my ID over at Rural King. What the hell are you asking me for my ID for root killer for? Well, then it was explained to me. People are using root killer as one of the ingredients to make crystal meth and God knows what else. The key word in there, killer. Root killer. If it's going to kill roots, what's it going to do to the inside of you? I mean, I've told this story countless times. But back in 2000, so it's been over 20 years ago, I used to pull for a place called Dollar General. And I was over in Missouri one day. And anyway, the manager had something she had to do. She said, get things set up, stretch your legs. I'll be back in about 10 minutes. No problem. Well, they had a sign, a poster, actually. It was probably about 4 feet tall and about this wide. Great big old letters like this. Said if you see somebody coming in on a daily, weekly, or regular basis buying these kind of household chemicals, call DEA. Certain ones were cleaning supplies. Other ones, I had no idea what they are, those chemical names. Battery acid, acetone, Drano, fingernail polish, gasoline, all kinds of real nasty chemicals. Well, the drug world has never been my world. I mean, I've seen what it does to people. All you need to do is look at that one sheriff. I'm sure there's many websites out there now, but there's a sheriff out of Oregon. He's got a site called Faces of Meth. I'll go back to that in a minute. Anyway, a lot of the stuff on that poster was cleaning supplies. There was like 20 to 30 of them. I'm like, call DEA for cleaning supplies? I asked the lady, why are they so concerned with neatness freaks? She goes, that's what the ingredients is that people use to make crystal meth. That's the ingredients for crystal meth? No wonder these people look like death warmed over. Anyway, so I said the Faces of Meth. I'm sure there's many of them out there. Though the sheriff in Oregon, he had a site called the Faces of Meth. He'd bust people, he'd take a picture of them. Some people had a lot of pictures. It showed the before picture and the after picture people doing meth. Some a few months, some several months, some years. After a few years, some of these people didn't even look like the first picture anymore. Looked like death warmed over. Looked like they could have been one of those, I don't know what the hell they call them, people they use in the movie, an extra for one of them damn Living Dead movies. Some of these people, they actually look that bad. They could have laid in the coffin. You couldn't have told the difference if they held their breath. One guy was a 14-year career paint huffer. The sheriff had a picture of him. For every year he'd bust him for huffing paint. His 14th year, his face actually looked deformed. Actually looked deformed. So anyway, back in those days, my son, who's in the Air Force, he's career Air Force now, career military. Back when he was a teenager, it was brought to my attention about that time I have the talk with him, this is why you don't do dope. Well, in the age we live in, with the invention of the internet and YouTube, it's kind of a lot better than when I was a kid growing up. We didn't have any of this. And anyway, I took him to that website. I showed him some pictures, told him some stories about people that I knew who messed with that stuff. Showed him some more pictures, told him some more stories. After about 45 minutes, he goes, "This is disturbing, Dad." And I said, "It was meant to be." He looked at me and he goes, "Got the message." I said, "That's what I wanted to hear." But anyway, for all these idiots out there bitching and whining about, having to show their ID to vote, most of the people bitching and whining about having to show their ID are probably a bunch of freeloaders anyway. Or maybe they have 4 or 5 different IDs. Okay, which one of these people are you? You show up here, you show up here, you show up here, you show up here. I have no problem showing my ID. You need to see my ID? Fine, I got one. I don't have to have one for where I work at. I got my license. People at a bank want to see it? No problem, I'll whip that bad boy out. Police officer want to see it? No problem, I'll whip that bad boy out. I go to the hardware store, someplace like that, and I need to buy some chemicals like root killer or something like that. You see my ID? No problem. Because if I need to go buy something like that, I'm going to buy it and use it for the purpose it was supposed to be intended to be used for. Not to make some nasty ass drug that people want to shove up their nose or stick in their vein and keel over. People a third of my age look older than me. Now I'm 55. Why in the hell people want to get on that stuff? Flocka? Zombie drug? Oh yeah, those videos are insane. Bath salts, crystal meth, ice, glass, heroin. People do that crap and they're like, then when they get done, say, "Oh, give me some more of that shit." I don't comprehend it, people. I don't comprehend it. But as far as this whole ID thing, quit bitching and whining. The reason you're bitching and whining about having to show ID is because you know that you intend to commit some kind of a fraud. Or maybe you got warrants out for you, and if you have to show your ID, it's going to go red flag, and lo and behold, Johnny Law is going to come pick your ass up. Voter ID, if you ain't got nothing to hide, you ain't got nothing to be afraid of. The ones that got something to hide, they're the ones that don't want to show their damn ID. Because maybe they're not who they say they are. I am who I say I am. I'm sure a lot of you are too. A lot of you out there, you are exactly who you say you are. A lot of good people out here, a lot of honest people. But unfortunately, the criminals out there, the scam artists out there, are muddying the waters. Now people don't know what to believe. But anyway, that was what I made on that last video and got all screwed up. So I need to make another one about the voter ID thing. If you ain't got nothing to hide, you ain't got no problem showing your ID. If you got all kinds of things to hide, or you know you're a fraud or a scam, you got everything to hide, and that's why you don't want to show your damn ID. Anyway, that's my 50 cents for the day. It's Eric the Mind Control Guy. Take care, friends. Bye.